Does this bring you back? There's only one Ricky Hatton. There's only one Ricky Hatton. Does that bring you back? Does that bring you back? That's the question. Because Ricky the Hitman Hatton will be joining Tyson Fury and his team. Now, it seems to me that Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury have been cool for some time now, because, you know, I've seen pictures of them, you know, for months now together. So they seem to be close, right? Now, it's funny, you know, Ricky Hatton brings back a lot of memories for me. You know, I remember being a kid watching Ricky Hatton. You know, I remember watching him when he fought Jose, what was his name? Castillo, I think. Jose Castillo. I remember when I remember watching it live when he fought Mayweather. I remember when he first came to the United States, and I forgot that. I think it was Juan Durant or Urango. I think it was him. He fought one of these dudes. But I remember I pretty much grew up watching Hatton fight. And I remember watching the British crowd, because like every time Ricky Hatton would fight in the United States, like he will literally bring an entire army of like British boxing fans will literally pay to take a flight to come to MGM Grand, wherever Ricky Hatton was fighting in the United States, and they will be there and they would be singing his tune. They would be saying, "There's only one Ricky Hatton." Every time he fought in the US, "There's only one." They would be singing his tune. Like, I don't think people remember. Like, I remember back then, Ricky Hatton was huge. Like, I was a lot younger back then, but, you know, I was a kid. But still, I remember how big he was back then. I mean, he was, like I said, he was so popular back then that that his fans would go to the United States to watch him fight and to root for him. You know, it would look like you know, the fight would be happening in the U.S., but you would think that the fight was happening in the U.K. because, you know, Ricky Hatton, he has such a big fan base. That's the one thing I know about Hatton. He had a really massive fan base. He had a lot of support. You know, as always, British box fans, when they like a fighter, they root to him. They root for him to the end. Now, I do think that this is actually a good kind of thing, for the simple fact that I think Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury have a lot in common. First of all, both Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury have like this weight issue. You know, I remember when Ricky Hatton was fighting, right? When he was in his prime, he used to always balloon in weight, right? This is a guy who used to fight at 140, but he used to balloon up to like 180, even 200 pounds when he was in his prime. And they used to call him Ricky Fatten, or I think Ricky Fat Man, something like that. I remember something like that. I still remember that. Childhood memories, man. Getting all nostalgic and shit here. But I remember like they would call him Ricky Fat Man or Ricky, Fatty or something like that. And because in between fights he would like put on 80 pounds. And so yeah, that's one thing they have in common, is both Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury both gain a lot of weight in between fights. Like, they put on weight. Another thing they have in common is they both they had drug issues. You know, I remember Ricky Hatton, after he retired, he admitted that he had drug issues. After he got knocked out by Pacquiao, when he lost to Pacquiao and he retired for that time, he admitted that he was taking drugs. He admitted this, and Tyson Fury also admitted that he was taking drugs. You know, during this time of his hiatus from boxing. But that's really about all that Ricky Hatton and Tyson Fury have in common, because other than that, you know, Ricky Hatton was a light welterweight, right? He fought at 140, and he's about, what, 5'6", 5'7". He's a very short guy. And, you know, obviously Tyson Fury's a heavyweight. He's about 6'9". So that's the one thing I will say. So yeah, that's definitely not something they have in common right there. And also their styles. You know, Ricky Hatton was a very aggressive fighter, right? He was an inside fighter. He was good. You know what Ricky Hatton was good at? Ricky Hatton was good at smothering his opponents. Like he was smothered. Like he smothered Costa Zoo, right? He attempted to smother Mayweather. You know, he smothered. Every time I saw him, he would try and smother his opponent. And he didn't have the best defense. You know, you used to always see Ricky Hatton's head get snapped back. But when it comes to like Tyson Fury, complete opposite. He's a guy who is a very slick heavyweight, and he doesn't tend to get hit these days. You know, when he was in the when he was in the come up, he was getting hit a lot. But these days, he's a very slick. Although, who knows? You know, we have to wait and see how he is. But yeah, he's much more slicker than someone like Ricky Hatton. So in terms of like skill sets, I don't think Ricky Hatton could really help Tyson Fury that much, because I think Tyson Fury is a better talent than what Ricky Hatton was. In terms of like skill set. But one thing I will say is I do think that Ricky Hatton, I think that Ricky Hatton had a bigger fan base, and I think more people liked Ricky Hatton when he was in his prime than the people that currently like Tyson Fury. Because when it comes to Ricky Hatton, I just remember, like, I have this vivid memory of a lot of boxing fans, the UK, particularly UK boxing fans, you know, praising him, you know, having a lot of respect for Ricky Hatton, you know, always cheering him on. They really admired Ricky Hatton. But when it comes to Tyson Fury, I see Tyson Fury does have fans. You know, don't get me wrong, he has fans. But I also see a lot of UK boxing fans, you know, trashing him. So I don't think that Tyson Fury is as loved as someone like Ricky Hatton was in his prime. Because I do remember vividly that Ricky Hatton was very, even though I was a kid, I remember Ricky Hatton was like very admired. A lot of people liked him. But I don't think Tyson Fury has that same type of support. You know, because you got a lot of UK boxing fans that think Anthony Joshua is the real heavyweight, you know, and then they bash Tyson Fury. You know how it is in boxing. But yeah, that's all I have to say. What do you guys think of Tyson Fury and Ricky Hatton, you know, being in his team? And yeah, don't forget to subscribe for that daily boxing news, guys. I'm out.